The meeting room on Unity Point Space Station was cold and gray. Captain Jake Morrison sat at the long metal table, his hands folded in front of him. Across from him, Ambassador Zethkri of the Veltharian Empire leaned back in his chair. The alien's purple skin gleamed under the bright lights. His forearms moved as he talked, showing off the sharp claws at the end of each finger. "Your colonies were weak," Zethkri said with a laugh. "They begged us to stop." It was quite funny to watch. Jake kept his face calm. Behind him, Commander Lisa Hayes stood with the other human officers. She could see the muscles in Jake's jaw getting tight. The other humans in the room went very still. Ambassador Peter Clark, the chief human diplomat, cleared his throat. "The colonies you attacked were peaceful. They had families. Children. Yes, the children cried the loudest," Zethkri said. His yellow eyes sparkled with joy. "We made sure they watched when we destroyed their homes. Some of them called for their parents, very touching." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Even the aliens from other species shifted in their seats. They had seen humans angry before, but this was different. This was quiet. Jake Morrison looked at Zethkri for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft and level. "Now I'm annoyed." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Zethkri laughed again, but some of the other aliens in the room started to look worried. The Chithari ambassador's antennae twitched nervously. The Murdai representative's gills fluttered faster. Even the big Krillian warrior took a step back. "Annoyed?" Zethkri said. "That is all? This is why other species call humans weak. You feel annoyed when we take what we want. You should feel fear." Peter Clark tried to keep the peace talks going. "Perhaps we can discuss compensation for the families who lost their homes." "Compensation?" Zethkri stood up, all four arms spread wide. "We owe you nothing. We are the Veltharian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. We have enslaved 12 species. Your little colonies were just practice for us." Lisa Hayes watched Jake's face. She had served with him for 8 years. She knew the signs. The way his breathing got deeper. The way his eyes went cold. The way he became very, very still. "Captain Morrison," she said quietly, "perhaps we should take a break." Jake didn't move. He kept looking at Zethkri. "Tell me about the children again." "What?" Zethkri seemed confused by the question. "The children. You said they cried. Tell me more about that." Zethkri's face lit up. He thought Jake wanted to hear about his victories. "Oh yes, there was this one little girl. She had yellow hair. She kept asking for her mother. Her mother was already dead, of course. We killed her first, but the child didn't know that. She kept calling and calling." The Chithari ambassador made a clicking sound of distress. The Murdai representative started to leave the room. They knew what was coming. "The boy was even better," Zethkri continued. "He tried to protect his little sister. So brave. So stupid. We let him think he was succeeding for a while. Then we showed him how wrong he was." Jake Morrison stood up. Slowly. He was not a big man, but suddenly he seemed to fill the room. The other humans behind him moved slightly, like soldiers getting ready for battle. "How many children?" Jake asked. "Oh, I don't know. Maybe 30? Maybe 40? They all look the same to me. 30 or 40 children. Yes, and their parents too. The parents were fun to watch. They knew what was coming. They tried to bargain with us. They offered us anything we wanted. Money, ships, their own lives. But we wanted to have fun first." Peter Clark stood up. "I think we should end this meeting." "No," Jake said. "Let him finish. I want to hear all of it." Zethkri was happy to continue. "We kept the families together at first. We wanted them to see each other die. The fear in their eyes was beautiful. Some of them fainted. Some of them went crazy. Some of them just stood there and cried. Lisa Hayes put her hand on her weapon. Not to draw it, but to be ready. She had seen Jake angry before, but never like this. Never this cold. We took pictures, Zethkri said. Would you like to see them? We have videos, too. The sounds they made were very interesting. Jake sat back down. He folded his hands again. No, thank you. I've heard enough. Good. Now you understand why you should fear us. We could do the same thing to any of your colonies. We could do it to your home world. Humans are weak. You talk about peace and cooperation. But when someone stronger comes along, you can only get annoyed. The Chithuri ambassador started speaking in rapid clicks to his aide. The Murdai representative was already gone. The Krillian warrior looked around the room like he was planning his escape route. Is there anything else you want to tell me? Jake asked. Yes, we have more colonies to destroy. Your people will learn to fear us. Every human in the galaxy will know what happens when they get in our way. I see. And if you try to stop us, we will make sure your deaths are very slow, very painful. We have had lots of practice. Jake nodded. Thank you for explaining that. You're welcome. Now, will you surrender your remaining colonies to us? Or do we need to take them by force? Jake stood up again. This time, all the humans in the room stood with him. They moved together like parts of the same machine. We'll need to discuss this, Jake said. Good. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, we start with your largest colony world. We'll make sure everyone in the galaxy can watch. Zethkri gathered his papers and walked toward the door. His guards followed him. As he reached the exit, he turned back. Oh, and Morrison? Next time you feel annoyed, keep it to yourself. No one cares about human feelings. The door closed behind the Veltharian delegation. The room was very quiet for a long moment. Then Peter Clark spoke. Jake, I know what you're thinking, but we need to be careful. We can't start a war over this. Jake looked at him. We're not starting anything, Peter. They already started it when they killed those children. The Council won't support military action. They'll say we're being too aggressive. The Council can say whatever they want. Jake turned to Lisa. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we're going to need ships. How many ships? Lisa asked. All of them. Peter Clark stepped forward. Jake, please. Think about what you're doing. The Veltharians are strong. They have a big fleet. They've conquered dozens of worlds. Jake looked at him with cold eyes. Peter, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Those aliens just told us they enjoyed watching human children die. They took pictures. They made videos. They want to do it again. I know, but no buts, no negotiations, no second chances. They had their chance to be civilized. They chose to be monsters instead. Jake walked to the window that looked out into space. In the distance, he could see the lights of ships from dozens of different species. Most of them were already moving. Away from the station. Lisa, send another message. Tell all human colonies to prepare for evacuation. Anyone who wants to leave should go now. And the ones who want to stay? Tell them to get ready for war. Lisa hesitated. Jake, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. Jake turned around. His face was calm, but his eyes were like ice. Commander Hayes, I want you to remember something. When humans say we're annoyed, it's not anger. It's not rage. It's a promise, and I always keep my promises. He walked toward the door. Get me a ship. We're going home to prepare. As the humans filed out of the meeting room, the remaining alien observers watched them go. The Chithuri ambassador clicked rapidly to his aide. Send a message to all Chithuri worlds. Tell them to avoid Veltharian space. Tell them to avoid human space too. Tell them to just ... hide. The aide clicked back. Question. Because, the ambassador said, when humans say they're annoyed, smart species run. Admiral Susan Cole stood on the bridge of the flagship Retribution, watching the stars move past the windows. 24 hours had passed since the meeting at Unity Point. All around her, human ships were moving into position. Not fast, not rushed, but steady and sure. Admiral, her communications officer, called out, "We're getting messages from the Chithari again. Put it through." The insect-like face of Ambassador Clicktar appeared on the screen. His antennae were shaking with worry. "Admiral Cole, please listen to me. You must call off your fleet. The Veltharians are too strong. They have too many ships." Susan looked at the alien with calm eyes. "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador. But this is not your fight. But it will become everyone's fight if you attack them. They will destroy you, and they will come for the rest of us." "No," Susan said quietly. "They won't." The screen went dark. A moment later, another call came in. This time, it was from the Murgai homeworld. "Admiral Cole," the aquatic alien said, his gills fluttering with fear. "We fought humans once, long ago. We learned what happens when you get angry, but the Veltharians don't know. Please, try to make them understand before it's too late." "It's already too late," Susan replied. "They made their choice when they killed our children." More calls came in. The Krillian Worklins, who had raided human ships for years until they learned better. The peaceful Dorthic, who had never fought anyone. Even the proud Zentoran Empire, who thought they were the strongest species in the galaxy. All of them said the same thing. Stop. Turn around. Find another way. But the human fleet kept moving. Colonel Danny Miller sat in the tactical center of his ship, watching reports come in from across the galaxy. Other species were pulling their ships out of Veltharian space as fast as they could. Trade routes were being abandoned. Diplomatic missions were being called home. "Sir," his aide said, "the Galactic Council is demanding that we stop. They say we're being too aggressive." Danny looked at the message and deleted it. "Any word from the Veltharians?" "Yes, sir. They just attacked 3 more human colonies." Danny's face went hard. "Show me." The screen lit up with video from the attacks. Veltharian ships dropping out of hyperspace above peaceful worlds. Colonies that had no weapons, no defenses. Just families trying to live their lives. The Veltharians didn't just destroy the colonies. They took their time. They broadcast the whole thing across the galaxy, wanting everyone to see how powerful they were. Danny watched human civilians running for their lives. He saw children crying for their parents. He saw homes burning and ships exploding. "Sir," his aide said quietly, "they're taking prisoners." On the screen, Veltharian soldiers were loading humans onto their ships. Men, women, children. They put them in cages, like animals. "Where are they taking them?" "We don't know, sir." "But they're broadcasting that too." Another screen showed human prisoners being paraded on Veltharian worlds. The aliens cheered and laughed as the humans were forced to walk through the streets. Signs in Veltharian writing promised more captures to come. Danny stood up. "Get me a channel to all ships in the fleet." "Channel open, sir." Danny looked into the camera. His voice was calm and steady. "This is Colonel Miller. You've all seen what they just did. You've seen what they plan to keep doing. They think we're weak. They think we'll give up." He paused for a moment. "They think wrong. Prep the ships. We're going hunting." Across the galaxy, other species watched the human fleet movements with growing fear. The Chithari had fought humans before, hundreds of years ago. It was a short war that ended with the insect species surrendering after just 3 battles. Ambassador Clicktar called an emergency meeting of his species' High Council. "The humans are moving," he told them. All of their ships. All of their fleets. I've never seen them do this before. How many ships? One council member asked. All of them, Kliktar repeated. Every human warship in the galaxy is heading toward Valtharian space. Maybe they're bluffing, trying to scare the Valtharians into backing down. Kliktar's antennae drooped. Humans don't bluff. When they move their fleets, they use them. The Murdai were having the same conversation on their ocean world. Their memory of fighting humans was even fresher. It had happened only 50 years ago when they tried to claim some human water worlds. We lost 60% of our fleet in 2 weeks, the old admiral told the council. And that was when they were being careful not to hurt us too badly. This time, they're not going to be careful. What should we do? Pray that the Valtharians surrender quickly and stay as far away from this war as possible. But the Valtharians were not listening to warnings. Emperor Zakmoth sat on his throne, watching the reports of his latest victories. His generals stood around him, all of them happy with how easy it had been to destroy the human colonies. The humans are moving their fleet, General Vextar reported. Our spies say they have maybe 200 ships coming our way. 200? The Emperor laughed. We have over 1,000 ships. This will be easier than I thought. Sir, we're getting warnings from other species. They say we should be careful with humans. Careful of what? They're weak. They care too much about things that don't matter. While they worry about their feelings, we take what we want. Another general stepped forward. The prisoners from the LATEST raids are asking to send messages to their families. Should we let them? Yes, the Emperor said. Let them beg for help. Let their families see how helpless they are. It will make the humans even more afraid. What the Emperor didn't know was that the human prisoners weren't begging for help. They were sending coded messages. Information about Valtharian ship numbers, base locations, and defense systems. Lieutenant Amy Foster, captured during the first colony raid, managed to get a message out through the prison communication system. It looked like a letter to her family, but hidden in the words was detailed information about the prison ship she was on. Mom and Dad, she wrote, I'm okay. They're keeping us in a place with big windows that face the sunrise. There are about 50 guards here, and they change shifts every 6 hours. The ship shakes when it turns left, so I think one of the engines might be damaged. Tell my brother I'll see him soon. Her brother was Captain Roy Mitchell, and he understood every word of the coded message. The big windows facing sunrise meant the prison cells were on the east side of the ship. 50 guards and 6-hour shifts told him about the security. Ship shakes turning left meant a damaged port engine. Similar messages came from other prisoners. Piece by piece, the Human Fleet Command built a complete picture of Valtharian defenses, ship movements, and base locations. The Valtharians thought they were winning a propaganda war. What they were actually doing was giving humans everything they needed to plan their rescue. Emperor Zakmoth called for another broadcast to the galaxy. He wanted everyone to see his human prisoners and understand his power. People of the galaxy, he said, standing in front of cages full of humans. Look at your supposed protectors. Look at how weak they are. They cannot even protect their own children. Behind him, human prisoners stared at the camera with cold eyes. They weren't broken. They weren't afraid. They were counting guards, memorizing floor plans, and preparing for what was coming. We offer these humans a choice, the Emperor continued. They can surrender all their colonies to us, or we will make these prisoners suffer. We will broadcast their pain across the galaxy. Everyone will see what happens to those who oppose the Valtharian Empire. The broadcast ended. The Emperor was very pleased with himself. What he didn't see was the reaction from the human fleet. Admiral Susan Cole watched the broadcast in silence. Around her, the bridge crew waited for orders. Communications, she said finally. Send a message to all Veltharian channels. What's the message, Admiral? Susan looked at the screen where the Emperor had just been standing. Her voice was calm and cold. Tell them they have 12 hours to release every human prisoner unharmed. After that, we stop asking nicely. And if they refuse? They won't refuse. They'll either release our people, or we'll come and take them. Either way, those prisoners are coming home. The message was sent across all channels. The Veltharians received it and laughed. 12 hours? Emperor Zakmoth said. What can they do in 12 hours? Send angry messages? General Vextar looked worried. Sir, our allies are all pulling back. Even the Krillians are avoiding our space. Let them run. When we defeat the humans, they'll all come crawling back to serve us. But as the hours passed, something strange happened. Human ships started disappearing. Not destroyed, disappeared. They were there on long-range sensors one moment, gone the next. Where did they go? The Emperor demanded. We don't know, sir. They just vanished. What the Veltharians didn't know was that humans had developed stealth technology far beyond what other species thought possible. Ships that could bend light around them, move without making any sensor signature, appear and disappear like ghosts. The 12 hours passed. The Veltharians had not released their prisoners. Now the real war would begin. The first sign something was wrong came at 0300 hours, Veltharian time. The outer colony of Hexdara simply went silent. General Vextar stood in the command center of the Veltharian flagship, staring at a display full of red warning lights. Where Hexdara used to show up on their sensors, there was nothing. Sir, his communications officer said, we've lost contact with Hexdara completely. Equipment failure? No, sir. The planet is still there. The cities are still there. But all military installations have gone dark. Emperor Zakmoth arrived at the command center in his sleeping robes, his forearms waving in anger. What's happening? Why did you wake me? We've lost Hexdara, my Emperor. Lost it? What do you mean lost? It? Before anyone could answer, another colony went silent. Then another. Within an hour, 5 outer colonies had stopped responding. Send ships to investigate, the Emperor ordered. We already did, sir. They're not responding either. The truth was more terrifying than the Veltharians could imagine. The human ships hadn't just disappeared. They had gone to work. Captain Roy Mitchell floated in space near the ruins of a Veltharian defense platform. His stealth ship, the Ghost Walker, had disabled the entire station without anyone inside even knowing they were under attack. The Veltharian guards were unconscious, tied up in their own holding cells. The human prisoners they had been torturing were already on their way to safety. Clean extraction, he reported to his team. No casualties on our side. All prisoners recovered. Lieutenant Amy Foster, his sister, stood beside him on the bridge. She had been rescued from the prison ship 3 hours ago. Her face was hard as she looked at the disabled Veltharian ships floating around them. What's our next target? She asked. Roy checked his orders. Military base on Kethfur. They've got about 200 human prisoners there. Good, let's go. Get them. This was happening all across Veltharian space. Human ships appeared without warning, disabled defenses with surgical precision, rescued prisoners, and vanished again. They didn't destroy cities or kill civilians. They just removed every military threat and took back their people. What scared the other species watching this war was how quiet the humans were about it. No grand speeches, no declarations of victory, no emotion at all. They just did their job and moved on to the next target. The Chithari ambassador watched the war updates with growing horror. They're not even trying to negotiate, he told his aide. They're just taking what they want and destroying anything that gets in their way. Should we offer to mediate? No. When humans get this quiet, it means they're done talking. We stay out of their way and hope they remember we're their friends. On the Murdai homeworld, the old admiral who had fought humans 50 years ago called an emergency meeting. I told you this would happen, he said to the council. When humans say they're annoyed, it's not an emotion. It's a warning. The Veltharians ignored the warning. How long do you think the war will last? The admiral looked at the reports coming in from Veltharian space. Colony after colony going dark. Military bases destroyed. Prisoner camps emptied. It's already over. The Veltharians just don't know it yet. He was right. In the Veltharian command center, panic was starting to set in. We've lost contact with half our outer colonies, General Vextar reported. Our deep space patrols aren't responding, and we still can't find the human fleet. They have to be somewhere, Emperor Zaknoth snarled. Ships can't just disappear. Sir, we're getting reports from some of our bases. They say human ships appear out of nowhere, disable everything, and vanish again. Our people never even see them coming. The Emperor's yellow eyes blazed with fury. Then we'll show them what real power looks like. Launch Operation Hammerfall. Operation Hammerfall was the Veltharians' secret weapon. A massive fleet of their best ships, hidden in deep space, ready to destroy any world that opposed them. Over 300 warships, each one capable of burning a planet's surface clean. Target the human homeworld, the Emperor ordered. If they want to play games with us, we'll show their families what games cost. But as the Hammerfall fleet moved toward human space, they found something waiting for them. Admiral Susan Cole stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the Veltharian fleet approach. Around her ship, the entire human battle fleet hung in space like a wall of steel and fire. They're beautiful ships, her tactical officer commented. They were, Susan replied. Communications, open a channel to the Veltharian fleet. The screen lit up with the face of Admiral Kethvar, commander of the Hammerfall fleet. His purple skin was dark with rage. Surrender now, humans, and we might let some of your world survive. Susan looked at him with cold eyes. Admiral Kethvar, you are in violation of 17 interstellar laws regarding civilian targeting. You will turn your fleet around and return to Veltharian space immediately. Or what? You'll get annoyed again? No, Susan said quietly. We're past annoyed now. The channel closed. Susan turned to her weapons officer. All ships, fire when ready. What happened next became known as the Battle of Deep Space 7, though calling it a battle was generous. The human fleet tore through the Veltharian ships like they were made of paper. The Veltharians had bigger ships, more guns, and thicker armor. None of it mattered. Human weapons found weak points that shouldn't have existed. Human ships moved in ways that seemed impossible. Human tactics were so advanced that Veltharian computers couldn't even track what was happening. Admiral Kethvar watched his flagship shields fail under sustained fire from 3 human cruisers. His weapons couldn't lock onto the enemy ships. His sensors kept losing track of targets that should have been right in front of him. How are they doing this? He demanded. His tactical officer's hands shook as he worked at his station. Sir, their technology is far beyond ours. It's like they've been holding back this entire time. That's impossible. Our intelligence reports said humans were weak. Our intelligence was wrong, sir. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, the entire Hammerfall fleet was either destroyed or disabled. The humans had lost exactly. Zero ships. Admiral Susan Cole looked at the wreckage floating around her fleet. These had been some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Now they were just scrap metal and rescue pods. Ma'am, her communications officer said, we're getting Surrender requests from the surviving Veltharian ships. Accept the surrenders. Take the survivors prisoner. Make sure they're treated well. Yes, ma'am. What about the disabled ships? Salvage anything useful, then destroy the rest. We don't want these weapons being used against anyone else. As the human fleet moved deeper into Veltharian space, word of the battle spread across the galaxy. Species that had thought humans were just another peaceful race began to understand what they had really been dealing with all these years. The Veltharians weren't just losing the war. They were being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had completely misunderstood. Emperor Zakmoth received the news of Hammer Fall's destruction while hiding in his personal bunker on the Veltharian homeworld. His greatest fleet destroyed in 17 minutes. His most powerful weapons useless against human technology. How is this possible? He asked General Vextar. They're just humans. They care about feelings and peace. They don't even like to fight. Sir, the general said quietly, I think that was the point. They don't like to fight. But when you force them to, they're very good at it. The Emperor looked at tactical displays showing human ships moving through his empire like they owned it. Colony after colony was falling under human control. Not destroyed, just ... taken. The humans would arrive, disable all military forces, free any prisoners, and then leave a small garrison to keep the peace. What do they want? He asked. We don't know, sir. They haven't made any demands. They haven't tried to contact us. They're just taking back their people and destroying our ability to hurt anyone else. But what's their goal? What's their plan? General Vextar looked at his emperor with tired eyes. I think their plan is to make sure we never hurt another human child. Outside the bunker, the first human ships were entering orbit around the Veltharian homeworld. Not to destroy it, but to make sure the war ended here. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, looking down at the world where this had all started. The world where an emperor had bragged about making human children cry. Sir, his communications officer said, we're getting a transmission from the surface. Emperor Zakmoth wants to negotiate. Jake looked at the planet below. Somewhere down, there were the last human prisoners taken by the Veltharians. Somewhere down there was the alien who had laughed about their suffering. Tell him we'll talk, Jake said. But first, he's going to return every single human he's taken. All of them. Unharmed. And if he refuses? Jake's voice was calm and cold. He won't refuse. He's finally figured out what happens when you make humans annoyed. The war was almost over, but the galaxy would never forget the lesson it had learned about humanity. General Kevin Brooks stood in the command center of the human flagship, watching live feeds from across the Veltharian homeworld. In 18 days, the entire Veltharian Empire had fallen. Not collapsed, fallen. There was a difference. Sir? His aide reported, we have confirmation that all human prisoners have been located. How many? 2,347 total. Most are in good condition, considering what they've been through. Kevin nodded. That was the number they had been looking for. Every single human taken by the Veltharians accounted for. Now came the hard part. What about the Emperor's latest message? He's still demanding negotiations. Says he has important prisoners that we'll want back safely. Kevin looked at the tactical display. The Veltharian homeworld was surrounded by human ships, but they weren't attacking. They were waiting. Put me through to Emperor Zakmoth. The screen flickered, and the alien emperor appeared. He looked different than he had at the peace station. His purple skin was pale, his forearms shaking slightly. The throne room behind him was empty. All his guards and advisors had fled. General Brooks, the emperor said, trying to sound confident. I'm glad you're finally ready to be reasonable. I'm here to discuss the return of our people, Kevin replied. Nothing else. But that's where you're wrong. You see, I still have leverage. I have your most important prisoners in my personal facility. Scientists, military officers, the children of your leaders. If you want them back, you'll need to negotiate. Kevin's face remained calm. Show me. The Emperor smiled, thinking he had won. He switched the camera to show a secure prison deep in his palace. Behind energy barriers, human prisoners sat in small cells. Men, women, and children who had been taken from the most recent colony attacks. As you can see, they're safe for now. But if you attack this facility, they will all die. The walls are rigged with explosives. One wrong move from your ships, and ... I understand, Kevin said. You want to make a deal. Exactly. You withdraw your fleets from Valtharian space. You stop this war, and I'll return these prisoners. We can both walk away from this. Kevin appeared to consider this. What about the other humans you've killed? The colonies you destroyed? Unfortunate casualties of war. These things happen. But we can start fresh, put the past behind us. I see. Kevin looked thoughtful. Emperor, can you do me a favor? Could you walk closer to the camera? What? Why? I want to see your face. Clearly when I tell you something. The Emperor moved closer, his yellow eyes gleaming with what he thought was victory. Thank you, Kevin said. Now I want you to listen very carefully. In about 30 seconds, a team of human soldiers is going to walk into that room behind you. That's impossible. This facility is completely secure. No one can get in without setting off the explosives. You're right. No one can get in. Kevin smiled for the first time. But people who are already inside can move around freely. The Emperor's face went white. What do you mean? I mean, we've been inside your palace for 3 days. Captain Lara Davis and her team have been mapping every corridor, every room, every security system. They've been waiting for this moment. Behind the Emperor, a door opened. Captain Lara Davis stepped through, followed by a squad of human soldiers. They moved with the quiet efficiency of people who had done this many times before. Hello, Emperor, Lara said cheerfully. We're here for our people. The Emperor spun around, all 4 arms reaching for weapons that weren't there. How did you get in here? The sensors, the guards. Your sensors can't see us when we don't want to be seen, Lara replied. And your guards are taking a nap. Don't worry, they're not hurt, just sleeping. While they talked, other soldiers were already opening the prison cells. The human prisoners walked out calmly, like they had been expecting this rescue all along. Sir, one of the freed prisoners said to General Brooks on the screen. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Stone reporting. All prisoners are accounted for and ready for extraction. Thank you, Commander. Captain Davis, how long do you need? Laura checked her watch. Give us 5 minutes to get everyone to the roof. We'll be ready for pickup. This is impossible. The Emperor kept saying, My security is perfect. No one can penetrate this facility. Your security was designed to keep out normal people, Lara explained patiently. We're not normal people. We're humans who are annoyed. The Emperor finally understood what that meant. Please, he said, falling to his knees, I surrender. I'll give you anything you want. Money, ships, territory. Just don't kill me. Lara looked at him with calm eyes. We don't want your money. We don't want your ships. We don't want your territory. Then what do you want? We want you to remember this moment, General Brooks said from the screen. We want you to remember what happens when you hurt human children. The rescue took exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Human transport ships appeared over the palace, picked up the prisoners, and vanished again. The Emperor was left, alone in his throne room, surrounded by empty cells and sleeping guards. "Emperor," General Brooks said, "you're going to come with us now." "Where are you taking me?" "To face justice. The families of the people you killed deserve to see you answer for what you've done. But I'm the Emperor. I have diplomatic immunity. You had diplomatic immunity. You lost it when you decided to torture children for fun." Kevin gestured to his officers. "Bring him up. Make sure he's comfortable. We're not savages." Within an hour, Emperor Zakmoth found himself in the brig of a human ship, staring through force fields at the stars. For the first time in his life, he was completely powerless. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Across the galaxy, other species watched the news reports with amazement and fear. The Veltherian Empire, which had terrorized dozens of worlds for centuries, had been completely defeated in 18 days. But what shocked them most was what the humans did next. Instead of taking revenge, instead of destroying Veltherian worlds, the humans did something no one expected. They helped. Sergeant Chris Johnson stood in the main square of a Veltherian colony world, watching human engineers work alongside Veltherian civilians to repair damage from the war. The locals were scared at first, expecting the humans to punish them for their empire's crimes. Instead, the humans brought food, medical supplies, and construction equipment. "Why are you helping us?" a young Veltherian asked Chris. "We are your enemies." Chris looked at the alien child. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, about the same age as the human children her people had murdered. "You didn't hurt anyone," Chris said gently. "You're just a kid. Kids don't start wars. But my people killed your people. Some of your people did. Not you. Not your family. Not most of the people on this world." The child thought about this. "What will happen to us now? You'll be free," Chris said. "You'll get to choose your own leaders, make your own decisions. No more empire, no more wars. And you won't hurt us?" Chris knelt down to the child's level. "We only hurt people who hurt us first. You haven't hurt anyone, so you're safe." This conversation was happening on dozens of worlds. The Veltherian Empire was being dismantled, but its people were being offered something they had never had before. Freedom. Admiral Susan Cole oversaw the transition from her flagship. Reports came in from across the former empire. Weapons were being destroyed. Military bases were being converted to schools and hospitals. War criminals were being arrested, but civilians were being protected. "Ma'am," her communications officer said, "we're getting requests from other species. They want to know what our plans are for the Veltherian territory. Tell them we don't have any plans for it. It belongs to the people who live there." They're asking about reparations. The Veltherians owe a lot of money to the worlds they conquered. Susan considered this. "Set up a fund. The Veltherian government will pay reparations to their victims. But the money comes from government assets, not from ordinary citizens. And the Veltherian leadership? They'll face trial for war crimes. Fair trials with proper representation. We're not going to become them." This was the part that confused other species the most. Humans had the power to do whatever they wanted to the Veltherians. They could have taken revenge, enslaved them, destroyed their worlds. Instead, they were being just. The Chithari ambassador sent a message to his homeworld. "I don't understand humans," he wrote. "They have the power to rule the galaxy, but they're giving it up. They're actually making the Veltherian worlds better than they were before." On the Murdai homeworld, the old admiral who remembered fighting humans watched the news with wonder. 50 years ago, when we fought them, they did the same thing. He told the council. After they defeated us, they helped us rebuild. They made our world better. I thought it was because we were lucky. Now I see it's just who they are. But why? Why help your enemies? Because they're not our enemies anymore. Once you surrender, Once you stop hurting people, humans treat you like a friend. It's the most terrifying kind of mercy in the galaxy. Back on the human flagship, General Kevin Brooks received a final report from Captain Lara Davis. All human prisoners had been recovered and are receiving medical care, she reported. All Veltharian war criminals are in custody. The Emperor will stand trial within the month. Good work, Captain. What's the mood among the Veltharian civilians? Confused, Mos. 6 months after the war ended, the galaxy had settled into a new normal. Ambassador Helen Parker stood at the podium in the reformed Galactic Council chambers, looking out at representatives from dozens of species. The same species that had once dismissed humans as weak and naive now hung on her every word. The Trade Protection Act will ensure safe passage for all merchant vessels, Helen said, reading from her notes. Any species that attacks civilian ships will face immediate response from the Joint Patrol Fleet. The Chitheri representative raised his hand. Ambassador Parker, who will command this joint fleet? Each species will contribute ships according to their ability. Command will rotate monthly between different species. But who has final authority in case of emergency? Helen looked at him calmly. In case of emergency, the human representative has final authority. No one argued. No one protested. 6 months ago, such a suggestion would have caused fights and walkouts. Now, every species in the chamber nodded their agreement. The Murdi representative spoke up. We approve this arrangement. Human judgment in military matters has proven ... reliable. That was the new word they all used. Reliable. It was diplomatic. Language for terrifyingly effective, but fair. After the council session, Helen walked through the corridors of Unity Point Station, the same station where this had all started, where Captain Jake Morrison had quietly said he was annoyed. Now the hallways were full of species working together in ways they never had before. Ambassador Parker, a voice called out. She turned to see Ambassador Clicktar of the Chitheri, hurrying toward her on his 6 legs. Ambassador Clicktar. How? Can I help you? I wanted to thank you, the insect alien said. The new patrol system has already stopped 3 pirate attacks in our territory. I'm glad it's working. But that's not why I'm thanking you. Clicktar's antennae drooped slightly. 6 months ago, my people were terrified. We thought humans were going to conquer everyone after what happened to the Veltharians. Helen tilted her head. Why would we do that? Because you could. Because you have the power. Most species, when they discover they're the strongest, they use that strength to take what they want. But that's not what we want. I know that now. That's why I'm thanking you. You could rule the galaxy, but instead you're helping us protect ourselves from pirates and raiders. Helen smiled. Ambassador, can I tell you a secret? Of course. Ruling the galaxy sounds incredibly boring. Do you know how much paperwork that would involve? Clicktar stared at her for a moment, then made the clicking sound that was Chitheri laughter. You know, I think that might be the most human thing I've ever heard. Meanwhile, on the far edge of what used to be Veltharian space, Captain Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of his ship, the Defiant. They were on patrol duty, something that had become routine since the war ended. Captain, Lieutenant Ben Carter called from the communications station. We're getting a distress call from the Andorian sector. What's the situation? Looks like raiders attacking a merchant convoy. The attackers are demanding cargo and passengers. Jake's face went cold. Raiders taking passengers. That sounds familiar. Sir, the raiders are from the Krillian Warclans. That was interesting. The Krillians used to be pirates themselves, until they learned what happened when you attacked human ships. They had reformed their entire culture after a brief encounter with human justice. Open a channel to the Krillian ships. The screen showed the bridge of a Krillian warship. The captain was a massive alien with thick, armored skin, and 4 arms. But his face showed fear when he saw Jake. "Human Jake," the Krillian said quickly. "This is not what it looks like." "Captain Thoklar," Jake replied. "It looks like you're attacking merchant ships and taking prisoners." No, we are fighting the raiders. The Saurian pirates attacked first. We are trying to protect the merchants." Jake studied the tactical display. Sure enough, the Krillian ships were positioned between the merchants and a group of unknown vessels. "I apologize, Captain Thokmar. I misunderstood the situation." "No apology needed, human Jake. We learned the lesson well. When humans say they are annoyed, wise species listen. We prefer to avoid that situation entirely." The Krillian warships made quick work of the actual pirates. The Saurian raiders fled as soon as they realized humans were in the area. "Captain," Thokmar said after the battle, "we have captured several Saurian raiders. What should we do with them?" "Follow standard procedure. Treat them fairly, give them medical care if needed, and turn them over to the proper authorities." "The proper authorities are 3 days away. The raiders will be expensive to feed and guard." Jake looked at the Krillian captain with steady eyes. "Captain Thokmar, what did you learn about how humans treat prisoners?" "That you treat them fairly, even when they do not deserve it." "That's right. Because how we treat our enemies says more about us than it does about them." Thokmar nodded slowly. "I understand. The raiders will be treated well." After the call ended, Lieutenant Carter looked at his captain. "Sir, 6 months ago, the Krillians were raiding human ships. Now they're protecting merchants and asking us for advice." "That's what happens when you show people a better way," Jake said. "Most species aren't evil. They just need someone to show them how to be better." "And if they don't want to be better?" Jake's face went hard. "Then they find out." "What happens when humans stop being patient?" On the bridge of Admiral Susan Cole's flagship, now stationed near the galactic core, reports came in from across known space. The new order was holding. Species that had fought each other for generations were working together. Trade was up. Piracy was down. Wars were becoming rare. "Ma'am," her aide reported, "we're getting a request from the former Valtharian homeworld. They want to join the Galactic Defense League." "Have they met the requirements?" "Yes, ma'am. They've held free elections, established a constitutional government, and completed war reparations to their victims." Susan nodded. "Grant their application. Welcome them to the League. The council representatives are asking if you want to attend the ceremony." "No, let Ambassador Parker handle it. This should be about them, not us." Her aide looked confused. "Ma'am, you're the one who defeated their empire. Don't you want to see them officially join the alliance?" Susan looked out at the stars. "Lieutenant, the best victories are the ones where your former enemies become your friends. The Valtharians have learned to be better. That's worth more than any ceremony." In his cell on the prison world of Sanctuary, former Emperor Zakmoth sat reading a book about human history. It was part of his rehabilitation program. All war criminals were required to study the cultures of their victims. The guard who brought his meals was a human woman named Carol Kim. She had lost her family in the Valtharian attacks, but she treated the Emperor with professional courtesy. "How's the reading going?" she asked, setting down his food tray. "It's educational," Zakmoth replied. "I'm trying to understand how your species thinks. Learning anything interesting?" The former emperor was quiet for a moment. "Your people have had many wars throughout your history. Terrible wars. But you always seem to find ways to make peace afterward." "Most of the time, yes. Even with enemies who have done horrible things to you." Carol sat down across from him. "Emperor, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you have children?" "Zakmoth." 4 arms moved uncomfortably. "I had offspring, yes." "Did you love them?" "In my way, yes." Then you understand why we got so angry. You threatened our children. You hurt our families. For humans, there's no greater crime. But now you're helping. My people, you're treating me fairly, even though I ordered attacks on your worlds. Carol looked at him with sad eyes. Because revenge doesn't bring back the dead. Justice does more good than vengeance. I don't understand the difference. Justice makes sure it doesn't happen again. Vengeance just creates more enemies. Zakhmuth thought about this. Is that why you defeated my empire so completely? So we couldn't hurt anyone else? That's part of it. But mostly it was to show the galaxy what happens when you cross certain lines. When you hurt children, when you torture innocent people, when you celebrate causing suffering, that's when humans stop being nice. And when you stop being nice, ... Wars end quickly, Carol finished. Because we're very good at ending things when we need to. The Emperor looked at his hands. I used to think humans were weak because you cared about things like mercy and justice. A lot of species make that mistake. I understand now. Your mercy isn't weakness. It's a choice. And when you choose not to be merciful, we're still not cruel. We're just ... efficient. That evening, Carol wrote her daily report. Subject continues to show genuine remorse and increased understanding of human ethical frameworks. Recommend continued rehabilitation program. In the margins, she added a personal note. He's learning. Maybe there's hope for him after all. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening. Former enemies learning to understand humans. Current allies learning to appreciate them. And potential threats learning to fear them. The Saurian pirates, after their encounter with the Krillians and humans, held an emergency meeting of their clan leaders. The humans are patrolling trade routes now, reported Captain Seshrak. And they're not patrolling alone. The Krillians are with them. The Chithari, too. Even the Murdai are sending ships. So, we avoid.